This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Tom, good morning. As always, man, I know you're excited to be in Nashville next week and get a chance to talk with Coach Pittman, KJ Jefferson, Rocket Sanders, and Landon Jackson. We were kind of kicking around on Thursday who would potentially be that third person. Looks like Landon's the guy. What are you expecting of Landon, not only next week, but this upcoming season as a guy that Sam Pittman talked about all spring?
Morning, everybody. Well, I think Landon Jackson is going to make a move up, and he's going to be one of the better DNs in the entire SEC. But I think, more importantly, the fact that he is going to represent the Razorbacks at SEC Media Days 1 year after transferring into the program is indicative of what Sam Pittman and the defensive staff, Travis Williams and company, think they're going to get out of Landon Jackson this year. So a healthy Landon Jackson is a good Landon Jackson for the Razorbacks. And honestly, I think ever since I've been covering this team, DN depth has been an issue. And there's been a few years, like 12, Jake Beckett, maybe 10 and 11, Jake Beckett, Chris Smith. There was a group in there, Tank Wright. They were pretty good at DN, but I think they're going to have some super depth at that spot this year.
Yeah, you think about Morgan, Jeffco, Landon Jackson, some others. You're hoping, again, they can bring some guys off the edge continuously throughout the course of the season. Now, the Arkansas guys are going to get plenty of questions from you, me, Tommy, and whatnot, and so is Greg Sankey. He's going to be asked a bunch of stuff. He'll have his big pregame SEC thing on Monday where he addresses the entire media, all the SEC constituents. What is something that you think he really, really needs to get into this upcoming Monday in regards to the conference?
Well, hopefully some insight into what's happening with the 8 or 9 game schedule and the broadcasting partners, what's happening there. The Oklahoma and Texas transition coming up in 24, I'm sure will be a big topic. And otherwise, I think the Pat Fitzgerald incident, I don't know if anyone will ask him, but just kind of like what kind of light that's shining on college football. And those are topics that come to mind immediately.
Yeah, and, I think people want to know about expansion. Is this a league that not even yet 216 that's already eyeing 18 or 20 teams? I don't think we'll get an honest, forthright, hey, we've got these 4 or 5 deals working behind the scenes. We're not going to know that, but I think fans watching this want to know what is the appetite for further expansion.
Yeah, and I think his response would probably be a very tactful, we never close down on any options. And I don't know. I wasn't a fan of adding Missouri and Texas A&M in 2012, and I said that. And I really don't think going to 16. But, it's like, what is your ultimate goal here? What is your aim? It's to make money, to produce champions, to bring more, more medals, more fame, more glory, and more money to your teams. And so perhaps in adding Oklahoma and Texas, you've added 2 more tougher teams, big-time marquee name programs. But I don't know. It just makes scheduling difficult. Obviously they're going to go to a non-divisional competition or conference in 2 years. And I guess it's the top 2 teams, but I kind of like the divisions as well. So maybe I'm an old timer, a traditionalist, and I'm not that fond of, huge, unwieldy conglomerations.
Yeah. For Sam Pittman, when he gets his, few hours in front of the largest gathering of media in the college football world, what's important for him to get across? When you sum up his day and what he has to say, what do you think it will be about? What will be the theme?
A maturing program, a program that is trying to navigate modern-day football rosters in the best way it can and promoting, they have some good things to promote. They've got one of the longest starting quarterbacks in the league right now who, were he on in Alabama or, a Georgia, would be thought of very highly in Heisman Trophy consideration. And how he's been able to be nurtured and, come along in this program. And then a kid in Rocket Sanders who was a receiver/running back coming out of high school, and they found a niche for him as a power and speed runner who had the fourth best single-season rushing in Arkansas history last year. So, in other words, we're developing guys who go for the long term. We're developing guys who might not have had a specific position and turn them into stars. And then we've taken a guy from the transfer portal who was injured when we got him. And, you know, if he plays like we think, he's going to be one of the better defensive ends in the conference in the country this year. So 3 guys worthy of promoting in your program. And then also, you know, the maturity of the Arkansas program and its potential to compete in what will be the SEC West this year against some heavyweight programs that have bigger name recognition and you know, more fertile recruiting bases than the Razorbacks.
Talking with Tom Murphy here on the McLarty-Daniel hotline. Tom, we were talking about schedule a little while ago. Arkansas has 3 SEC home games this fall and a big game against BYU the third week. In your opinion, you got single-game tickets going on sale tomorrow for the general public. What's going to be the best home game for Razorback fans this fall?
The conference schedule is always, you know, a fun one. I mean, having Auburn at home will be fun. You know, they get Missouri at home. Those are of interest to fans. I do believe BYU. I guess they get Mississippi State at home as well. Mm-hmm. So I think those 3 are, you know, those are good. I mean, none of them are. Well, I guess Missouri is your cross division rival for the time being, and so that's of interest. It's around Thanksgiving, obviously. A lot of your season's already been, you know, dictated. So I think the BYU game, and Arkansas fans really should show up and maybe extend the kind of courtesies we saw from BYU fans. I was amazed at how friendly and welcoming everyone that I came across last year in Provo was. It was an astounding thing, and it'd be neat if Razorback fans were as courteous.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that this morning. When you think about non-con games and Utah's on the schedule, I can't remember what year, but it's coming. I hope that doesn't hit the cutting floor. You know, when you have to make changes, if you go to 9 games, there's going to have to be some adjustments. That's a trip I look forward to making if and when that game happens, going back out to the same area.
Oh, no question about it. And I really do believe that if they have to do some trimming, that it'll be a lesser light game, and they would want to keep a primo cross, you know, sectional type game. I went out to their stadium. I think it's Eccles Rice Stadium. Is that the name of their stadium? I went to that last year, and they have a great big jumbotron. I think the young lady who showed me up to it was telling me it might be the second or third largest jumbotron, and I didn't think Auburn's got the largest, but it was a nice atmosphere. You know, it wasn't a 90,000 seat stadium, but it's good, and it'll be a nice venue for the Razorbacks to go compete in. Some USC fans were in town, and I was talking to them about how that was going to be a tough game for the Trojans the next day, and sure enough, I think Utah beat them.
They did. Yeah, Cam Rising and company beat Caleb Williams. I had an Arkansas friend of mine that went to the BYU game and then drove over to Salt Lake and watched that
short
game.
Drive. Yeah.
So,
I don't know anyone that made that trip that regretted it.
Oh, no. We had fun driving down to Provo. We went up to the Olympic Village, a park city above Salt Lake, and had some great meals. Oh, yeah, that's one of those that was a little out of our normal, out-of-the-box deal, and very enjoyable, much like going to Colorado State a few years ago, even though the outcome wasn't what Arkansas hoped.
Didn't Bob almost kill you on that trip? Didn't he drive in the wrong lane, or am I misremembering that?
Well, no, that actually happened in Houston coming back from an A&M game many years ago. Okay,
I couldn't remember on that. Tom Murphy again with us here on the McLarty-Daniel hotline. Tom, we're talking about the home games. We're talking about the road games in Provo and hopefully the upcoming game in Salt Lake when you play Utah. Games this fall, when you look at what Arkansas has to face in Oxford, in Tuscaloosa, and in Baton Rouge, probably narrowing out Oxford in this conversation. Tougher game is in Baton Rouge or Tuscaloosa for Sam Pittman this fall?
Well, I mean, at face value, I just say tougher game at Tuscaloosa. But Baton Rouge, Arkansas played LSU within 3 last year. I know it felt like LSU had kind of a modified game plan to not extend itself too much and play great defense, and it won for them. But Alabama's been the thorn in Arkansas' side. I mean, should have beaten them in Houston Nutt's final year, 2007. Really could have, would have, should have beat them in 2010 and 2014, but they didn't win any of those games, and thus they are 0 for Nick Saban, and I think that's a tougher game for them.
Yeah, it's hopefully that streak ends this year. Tom, I want to shift the conversation to baseball. Arkansas has had a lot of guys drafted out of late. 6 out of high school, 5 from the U of A, and also 1 transfer player. Is this an abnormal amount in your opinion, or do you think Dave was kind of expecting this heading in to the last 2 nights?
I believe his quote was, "We know we're going to get hammered in the draft," and they were. And so they're losing out on, this is the number 1 class in the country, the best class Arkansas had ever signed, and Miller and that group, they got drafted high enough that, they're going to sign. And so they're going to lose out on those. But it's a little bit abnormal it's so many in the first 10 rounds. I mean, 12 total guys off your potential roster, or I guess 11, because Wagner couldn't be back. But that's a lot of guys, and I think it's indicative of how well Arkansas is recruiting, how well they are developing players. I mean, you take 2 guys, for instance, that were drafted in the 3rd round yesterday. Hunter Holland comes in from junior college, has a good season, bam, 3rd rounder. That's displaying the coaching acumen and the development and all the laboratory and resources at their disposal to help Hunter Holland. And then Tavian Josenberger, who knows where he would have been drafted had he stayed at Kansas, but he showed power in the leadoff position and speed. He got to play on a bigger stage, so to speak, at Arkansas, and parlayed that into a nice draft pick. And so I think it's something you have to learn to expect if you're a program of Arkansas caliber, that your juniors are going to get taken, and a lot of your signing classes. So, I mean, I don't think anything has happened that has been super out of the ordinary. I do think, Craig Yoho, the transfer from Indiana, might have been a little bit surprising as a 9th or 10th round guy, and they were really hoping they'd be able to have him, and now it's very likely, if not, a foregone conclusion, he'll sign with the Brewers.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to go after the best guys, but also you don't want to waste time and effort and resources. I guess that's the question that Dave Van Horn and Tim Corbin and others have to ask themselves is, do you target guys that are going to be 1st and 2nd round picks and hope they come, or do you put more time and effort into guys that are in rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, and try to get guys that can help you for 3 years?
Well, I mean, that is a great question, and they did retain some of the pitchers, including the kid who had the Tommy John. But, I mean, they still kept some of their top 100 guys, and I don't think you can give up on a kid who might be a potentially high draft pick. I mean, you're still getting the acclaim of signing the number 1 class and those types of things, but you do have to kind of backfill behind them if you lose them. And I'm sure they knew that a lot of these kids were going to get offered the type of money they could not turn down, and that has been the case.
All right, Tom, we'll talk to you later this week, and then we'll see you next week in Nashville.
Wow, man, I'm looking forward to it. It's coming at us fast.
Yeah, it is.
BetOnline is your number 1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.